Good morning and welcome to SantaCruzVoice.com. You're listening to Bettina's Buzz. I'm Bettina McBee, and with me, I'm so honored to bring to you listeners the one and the only former mayor of San Francisco, Mr. Willie Brown Jr. Good morning, Mr. Brown.
Good morning to you, Bettina. How are you?
I'm doing really great. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. And congratulations on being inducted in the 17th class of the California Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Thank you. And it was a wonderful, frankly, notification to come to me after all these years from the governor's office, welcoming me into the society of people who are the appointees, and that I'll be sworn in on the 6th of February, and that's a good time.
Well, that's just wonderful. You are still making history, Mr. Willie Brown, and I'm just, again, so thrilled to have you with us. Tell us some of your plans for 2024.
Well, my plans for 2024 is to be really active in making sure that San Francisco reelects its existing mayor, as well as being involved in what happens statewide on the senatorial side in the effort to replace Senator Dianne Feinstein from among the prospective persons who are seeking that nomination as well. Plus, I'm going to be more than interested in the various measures that are on the ballot that affects the lives of people. So it should be a good year.
It will be a great year, and we're all appreciative. And I, of course, thank you for your community service and still your continued involvement in the welfare of we Californians and people worldwide and citizens, and we greatly appreciate you.
Well, there was no way that I could stop doing what I have done for almost 70 years. Once I got out of college and out of law school, I decided to participate in trying to help the lives of people become something better than that which they were living, and I'm still dedicated exactly to that, and I still have the energy to do it.
And that's wonderful that you still have the energy to do it. And listeners, I just want to share with you here on SantaCruzVoice.com that Willie Brown and I have roots in the town of Mineola, Texas. So that's something, too, that we share in common. And those are wonderful roots to have, as I'm sure you know.
And I go back home primarily to bury relatives. But I go back home about once every 2 years. And I will be visiting Mineola this year.
Well, good, and I know they'll be glad to see you. And one question I had, another thing we have in common is the artist Richard McDonald, and you posed for a bust, and I know you are good friends with Richard.
Yes, and that bust is currently in City Hall, and it's in an area here in San Francisco.
And it's on permanent display, yes.
Yes, there are 4 busts. There is Feinstein, who was mayor of our city, and the first female mayor of our city, the late George Moscone, who was assassinated by another elected official in 1978, and then by Newsom, who's now the governor of the state of California. When he served as mayor, they have such a bust of him, and I'm in that same 4 corners. I am number 4 in that 4 corners. Or maybe number 3 if Newsom is number 4 in the 4 corners. And it's a nice gesture because it's directly in front of the mayor's office. You can't enter the office and exit the office without at least paying attention to one of us.
To one of you. And also paying attention to you, something we have in common, Mr. Brown, is when I was a graduate student at the Academy of Art College in San Francisco, and this was back in 1998. And you had the Meet the Mayor days. Do you remember that, former mayor?
Oh, sure.
Yes.
I'm sorry my colleagues did not follow that because mayor's job is, frankly, to consistently be available to the people. That's not the way these current mayors work.
But you were there, you posed. You did wonderfully. I came to, but again,
I loved it.
you did. Do you remember?
Yes.
Tell us, then share. I'm so flattered that you remember. That was.
Yes.
If I can just say briefly, it was 1998, and you had the Meet the Mayor days, and people had to come out. I think it was very, very early in the morning and stand in line, and you were
7 a.m.
7 a.m.
Exact.
And you were given
and you got 10 minutes
Mm-hmm.
with no preliminaries.
No preliminaries. And I went right in and I asked you if you would be so kind, as I brought up our Mineola connection, and I asked you if you would be so kind to pose for Craig Nelson's art class. He was leading the fine art division at that time. And again, I was a student. I was a graduate student in motion pictures and video. So you were my assignment, and I was thrilled you came and posed, and you were just so handsome with your fedora and you that was wonderful. So tell us, you do remember then?
I do remember, and believe me, that was part of my cherished remembrance of San Francisco's mayor's office, because those were Saturday mornings, and they started at 7 o'clock with or without an appointment, and you had 10 minutes, and there was no limit on what you could do. And I kept every department head in the city available by telephone, because it was something you said that they had not done. I did not wait for any formal filing. I called them up directly from the mayor's office with the individual visitor there. And I had that individual visitor talk to my department heads. Initially, the department heads disliked it intensely. They didn't like working on Saturday mornings. They eventually became aware, though, that I was a person that worked 24 hours a day as mayor, if necessary. They had to serve the people the same way. They came to enjoy it. They had, frankly, in most cases, never really met the people whom they were serving. And I wish that was a requirement for all mayors.
Well, I'm glad it was a requirement for you while you were mayor, because I was the star of the show having you there. And if I can please tell the listeners, I had a great video. I hope I still have it to show you. I don't think you ever saw it, or I don't know if you ever saw Craig Nelson's painting of you, Mr. Brown, but it was wonderful. But he rolled up in his limo, and you could hear a pin drop. The instructor and I, Craig Nelson, we didn't tell the students, of course, that you were coming. It was just a special guest, and you rolled up in your limousine, and we escorted you, and you just posed wonderfully. And do you remember what had happened to your foot? I do remember your foot was wrapped.
Yeah, but it's okay.
It's okay. And you've also been in movies. You're quite the celebrity. You've been in a number of movies. And what has that been like? What was that like?
That was enjoyable, but post the mayor's office, it's even more enjoyable, particularly the one that I like the most, and that is the one that the young folk love. I did, the third time that Francis Ford Coppola did The Godfather.
Godfather 3.
I played a senator in The Godfather. But Princess Diaries is the one that I love.
That's what my daughter said. Princess Diaries. Ask him about Princess Diaries.
That's the one that I love the most, because I can be walking through an airport and there would be 2 or 3 girls with their mothers walking toward me, and they'll yell, "There he is!" And in many cases, their mothers have no idea what they're talking about. But then I'll stop, take a picture with them, and the mothers will go crazy. They now release that movie, I think, about every 5 years, re-release it.
And your famous line in the movie is?
It never comes down on Willie Brown.
That's wonderful.
Because when we shot that movie, it was raining. But in the fact the fact it was, as I walked out of my car to go inside for the shooting, I did not get wet at all. And the people could not believe that. And they, how's that be? I said, it just never comes down on Willie Brown. And that's what they put in the movie. It was fun. It was fun.
It was fun. And it's great having you on the show. Now, I know you told me, listeners, Mr. Brown told me 15 minutes, no more than 15 minutes. But if you're willing to give us a few more minutes, part of my show, of course, honoring the Reverend, the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as we approach his weekend. And you, of course, Mr. Willie Brown, being the first African-American mayor of such a major city, San Francisco, and a history maker. And of course, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is and always will be a history maker. Share some thoughts on him with us, please.
Well, first and foremost, I had the great honor of meeting Martin more than one time, being introduced with Martin, walking with Martin here in the city. Reverend Cecil Williams, the head of Glide Church in the city, had me walk with Martin and had me appear and actually introduce Martin on one occasion for the public. Martin came here to do the demonstrations that we were doing in those days on behalf of the civil rights movement. And I got to tell you that there was nobody, in my opinion, that could express himself so eloquently in such a decisive way that delivered the message of how America is without a doubt plagued with racial discrimination and inequality, and in particular for the people who, during that time of our lives, they were not even paid equal wages with none, and they were working the same job with white people. It was just amazing how effective Martin really was at delivering that message. We suffered a great loss when Dr. King was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee, on that horrible evening in which that death occurred in 1968. It's just awful that he isn't still alive. He went long before his time. He was only about 39 years of age when he was assassinated. And the fact that we now have a national holiday in memory of the man who was the second Nobel Prize winner as a black man, Ralph Bunche being the first, but Martin Luther King Jr. was the second. And those are memories that you, frankly, I don't think ever forget. And when I got designated to go from San Francisco to Atlanta for Martin's funeral, it was in April of '68. It was a memorable time as well for me. I went with two or three other legislators, and one of the legislators was a guy named William Bagley out of Marin County. And when we got there, we obviously rented a car to drive from the airport to the funeral, to the church. And we got there, and they had reserved seats for us. And the white guy from Marin County, Bill Bagley, said, "No, you're not driving. I'm driving." It was three blacks and one white. He said, "I bet you people have never seen a white chauffeur for black men. And in memory of King, this is what we ought to do." And that became part of the national news story, that in fact, there were white cab drivers driving black persons in attendance at the funeral. So even in death, Martin still made a statement.
Yes, he makes a statement all the time, every day. And yes, it is quite wonderful that we have set aside as a nation, as a country, a day to honor a man who gave so much of himself. And you, too, Mr. Willie Brown, are a man who've given so much of yourself. And again, I think that you would take the time, humbly, I say humbly, that you would take the time to come on Bettina's Buzz and join me this morning on SantaCruzVoice.com. Just goes to show, I feel, not only your greatness, but your humility, and to take your time to be with me and the listeners of the station. And just quickly, too, I realize that you are a fellow of Crown College at the University of California, Santa Cruz, so you have a background here in Santa Cruz.
It's one of my honors, frankly, and Santa Cruz, that component of the University of California's 13 or 14 campuses is one of the ones that's really productive in every way. Difficult to get into, but once you're there, you are assured of the quality education at a price that is affordable, period. At one time, the University of California really was an institution that every student could ultimately afford. We've gotten somewhat away from that in this day and age, but not that university. Crown College and the people who lead it represent something very special. And I'm glad that my resume includes Crown College.
And in your eclectic resume of the studies, your stellar studies, and the many things you've done, you've also been a co-host of a morning radio show. How was that with comedian Will Durst? How was that?
The Will and Willie show was a really good show. We probably had the most impactful 3 hours, 5 days a week that I have ever been a part of, because it meant I really had to be well informed when people would call in for the show, or would we invite people from all over the country to call in to talk to our listeners. It was quite a challenge to be up to date, and I'm amazed that you who are in radio, like yourselves, have that responsibility as well. I found it really challenging, but it gave me the opportunity to be more enthusiastic about the people I just talked to on the streets.
Yes, and that being said, there's a lot of information about you that people should take time to look into the history of Willie Brown, the legislature that he's done, the groundbreaking things that he did as mayor of San Francisco and speaker of the California Assemblies. Make sure to check out some of his films. I mean, Godfather 3, we know that's a good one, and Princess Diaries, well, that's a classic. What was it like to be with Whitney Houston?
Well, and let me tell you, Whitney Houston was quite a person. I am just saddened when you mention the name that we lost her. I don't think she had reached anywhere near her peak when her death visited itself on an occasion when we were about to do the Grammys the following Sunday. And we were having an event with Cleve Davis, who had been her advisor and her director. On that Saturday night, we were scheduled to have a pre-Grammy party. And lo and behold, she died in the middle of the day at the Beverly Hilton Hotel in Los Angeles. And I just will never forget that her performance, or her performances, I guess I should say, were really memorable. And again, I'm sad that we have to think of her as in the past.
Yes.
But it was part of what many people today, particularly women and people of color, you really should hear that beautiful voice, that message that she delivered with that voice. the cherishment of life for her and for all of us was part of you. She really was.
Yes, she really was. And the good thing about, even though wonderful people we have lost, the legacy, the joy that they left for us or left in us during their time, and we still have them in our hearts to talk about now.
Absolutely. All right,
I could tell.
Gotta go to work.
Yes, and even looking, gotta go to work. Thank you.
No, but thank you. And you asked about that portrait, that painting that was done.
Yes,
It's
by Mr. Nelson.
Office.
Craig gave you. You have it?
It's in my office.
Good for Craig. Good. That's wonderful. And I texted Richard McDonald yesterday to let him know. I hope he's listening. If you're listening, hi, Richard. I let him know, Mr. Brown, that you were going to be my guest this morning. And he says hello. And he had great stories. He's been a guest on Bettina's Buzz here on SantaCruzVoice.com. So he had wonderful things to say about you. And again, thank you so very much for taking time to be with us this morning.
Well, thank you. And on Monday, please remember King.
We will. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. And on that note, we will take a short break here on SantaCruzVoice.com.
What's your family eating for dinner? Chef Ben here at the Back 9 Grill and Bar, where you can pick up family dinner that feeds 4 to 6 hungry people. Family meals include a full rack of ribs, a whole smoked chicken, pound of pulled pork, and plenty of barbecue sauce. Served with a full quart of baked beans, coleslaw, macaroni and cheese, dinner rolls, pickles, a side of onions, and for dessert, brownies with a pint of Mary Ann's vanilla ice cream. Call and order your family's dinner about 15 minutes before you want to eat. See you at the 9.
You never get a second chance to make a good first impression. When you want to make a good first impression, start with Dynamic Press Angelo.
Dynamic Press can take care of every printing need, from business cards to stationery, apparel, mailings, brochures, everything but money.
When you want to make a good first impression, start with Dynamic Press in Santa Cruz.
479-7920. DynamicPress.com.
When your business is on the move, you must find the right place for it to move. Let's ask Matt Shelton, General Manager of J.R. Parish, the big question. What is the right place to move one's business?
Location, location, location. Sometimes it's rent. Sometimes it's the fact that there aren't that many buildings available to suit you, but mostly it's location of your customers, location of the principals, location of your employees.
Move it to the right place with the help of the power brokers at J.R. Parish in Santa Cruz.
If the Howard Stern Show and Terry Gross's Fresh Air had a baby, well, that's my program, Show and Tell. It airs 2 p.m. Pacific on Saturdays. I'm your host, Tamara Lowe. Listen on SantaCruzVoice.com.
Change is great when you initiate it. Hi, Brian, formerly of Unschooling Stories. Join me Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. for Overschooled Undereducated, right here on SantaCruzVoice.com.
You're back with me, Bettina McBee, on Bettina's Buzz. And I also have with me in studio Bill Wolverton from Good Morning Monterey Bay. He decided to stop by. Hi, Bill.
Hello.
And so he was here with me listening to Mr. Willie Brown. Wasn't that great? I'm so thrilled that he was here with us.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy.
Isn't he interesting?
I didn't realize Will and Willie, I listened to that, and it was good radio, but it was 15 hours a week. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
That's what we do on Good Morning Monterey Bay, and I can tell you that's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work, and he even said we do a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, he'd been doing a lot of work keeping up with what people are going to be talking about. He had to stay informed.
Yes, and we have to stay informed, too.
True. Hopefully.
Because believe me, I was doing my research, and again, thank you to my Cerna, my daughter, for helping me get all my notes together about Willie Brown.
Now, speaking of, she said, ask about the Princess Diaries.
Yes.
I don't know what that is.
It's a movie, Princess Diaries.
Is it a Disney
Anne
movie?
Hathaway? No. Well, Okay, but it's got Anne Hathaway. You have to watch it.
Really?
You have to, yes.
And
It's
Willie Brown
classic.
played himself in that?
Yes, he had his Well, who else could he be? Who else could Mr. Willie Brown be? But again, thank you for being on the show with us, Willie. And so the second half of Bettina's Buzz, I thought, as I mentioned, we'd talk about Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And in talking about him, I wanted to just briefly discuss again when I was a student at the Academy of Art College, studying motion picture and video and different assignments we had to do. And in downtown San Francisco is Yerba Buena Gardens, and in the gardens it's a memorial to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and it's filled with a waterfall and inspirational quotes, and it's quite wonderful to go through. And I had done a video assignment with that, going through the museum with Jimi Hendrix playing in the background in the mix that I did. So that was a great fun. And also, I wanted to bring up some events that are going on to honor Dr. Martin Luther King. But before we do that, one thing in relation to Mr. Willie Brown, we were talking about the different inductees who have been inducted into the California Hall of Fame.
Sure.
Because Bill and I found that very interesting. We were talking about that before the show started. And Bill was finding some other people who have been inducted in the past.
Yeah, it's only been 17 years. It was 2006 when Arnold Schwarzenegger started the program.
Arnold.
And the governor and they said the first partner, which I presume means the husband or wife of the governor, those are the two people who pick the people who get to be in the Hall of Fame. So Willie Mays has been in the Hall of Fame.
Say hey.
And let's see. Joe Montana, who my late grandmother, adored.
Joe Montana is something special, isn't he?
Yeah, I know.
That
he's
quarterback.
been in. Let's see if I can find any others. Oh, here's this year's inductees. We've got Maggie G., Shirley Temple, Vin Scully. Oh,
I know the
yeah,
Go-Go's.
Vin Scully.
The Go-Go's. I remember.
Are they?
Yeah, that's what it said. This year's inductees. I remember it saying that.
Etta James, the jazz singer, she was inducted apparently this year. Princess Leia, Carrie Fisher. I can call her Princess Leia, right?
You can.
We know what that is.
We can.
The actress, anyway. She was inducted this year.
You have to see Princess Diaries.
I have to. Okay, Princess Diaries.
Today.
I have homework.
So, but that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was happy to learn that he's affiliated with Crown College.
Yes.
I graduated from there. And
you did?
Yeah, and both my siblings and my mom also graduated from UCSC. So.
Well, he said he was very glad to have that on his resume. So.
Yeah. So I'm thankful for his efforts related to the college.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
It's nice that he stays so involved. There's no such thing as retiring for some of us.
Yeah, I get that feeling too.
But just to go on about, hi, Michael. How are you? Michael Jacoby stopped in too. I love this place.
Turn on his mic.
Sit down if you want. I'm going to turn on his mic.
You never know who's going to drop by.
You never know who's going to drop by. You never know. So,
unfortunately, you just missed Brad Pitt. He just snuck out a little early.
Well,
you sure it wasn't a lookalike?
Well, I know. That's what I was wondering. I remember he was on the show.
He was on the show.
Or was it the lookalike?
Or was it?
Maybe it was Brad.
I'll never tell.
That's right.
I'll never tell. So, the Martin Luther King Sculptural Garden, they dedicated one at the Marina Library. I want to tell listeners, especially as many of you know, I live in Marina. But just last year, they had the unveiling and they dedicated a very nice Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. memorial there with quotes. And it's very nice. So that's something to go by if you're in that neighborhood or if you're in Santa Cruz and you plan on going to the Monterey Peninsula.
What a wonderful way to spend the holiday.
It is a wonderful way. And it's that's the Marina Library, and it's on 190 Seaside Circle. And there's the March of Celebration. I think that's going in Seaside down Obama Way. I know that they're going to have a march tomorrow.
Good.
On Martin Luther King Day. And here in Santa Cruz, the local chapter of the NAACP has an event going on, even starting today, for youth. There's an event going on, if anybody wants to do that.
Do you know when and where?
It starts downtown. Wait, I'm finding... It's at the Resource Center for Nonviolence.
Oh, very good.
At 612 Ocean Street. And that, again, is the Martin Luther King Youth Day. And that's being put on by the local chapter of the NAACP. So that's great. That's today at noon. You can.
You know, we're going on practically 3 generations since the passing of Dr. King. So
wow.
The more that we remember and teach, the more important it is.
Yes, the more important it is. And there's also at the Capitola Branch Library tomorrow, Sunday the 14th, is a film screening and discussion celebrating the life and works of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. So that the Capitola Branch Library is on Wharf Road, and that's happening tomorrow.
Do you have a time for that one?
Someplace, but not on this piece of paper.
Okay, that's fine.
But I can look that up. But yes, so those are wonderful things to do if you're in San Francisco. Go through, again, Yorba Buena Gardens. It's absolutely beautiful there. And to remember Dr. Martin Luther King. Let me see, the Freedom March through the NAACP here in Santa Cruz. There's a march that starts Monday on the celebration day, observance day, at 5:30 to 7:30, and that starts on Cathart Street. So it's nice in here. Look,
Well,
Michael Olson came in.
Olson, this is amazing. There hasn't been this kind of talent in one room since Thomas Jefferson died alive.
It's a party.
How are you, Michael?
It's a party.
I have to turn Bettina's buzz off, though, because...
He was listening. See, everybody came running.
Have you ever seen so many 3x5 cards that Bettina has?
Yeah, I have all my notes.
I
No,
tried to
I'm
commit
impressed.
things to memories, but she
No,
has 300
I
notes,
have
so
no
she's not gonna
memory.
forget anything.
I have no memory.
Sure you do. It just happens to be in a pile to your left.
But you know what I found also interesting about Martin Luther King Jr. is in the list of his many awards, you know, he won a Grammy Award in
For spoken word, I think,
yeah,
right?
in 1971. And I found that, I mean, he won
No, he was
keeps
an
me-
artist with language.
Artist with Language.
Yeah.
That's true.
He really was.
Because even in preparing for my show, I started saying, I'll read some of Dr. King's quotes. And then I said, are you crazy? Like, why would I want to do that?
If you ever start to feel eloquent, read some of his stuff.
But-
and it'll
but
go
no,
away
I'm going
very
to
quickly.
play.
I
Indeed.
know that feeling.
I decided to play
Oh, good.
Dr. King at the end of the show. I mean, that makes much more sense.
Do you know where you were? Do you remember where you were
I
when
was
you
very
heard the
little.
word about Dr. Martin Luther King?
I was very young. I don't remember where I was. And I can't say on air what my mom was saying this morning that my aunt said when. But, yeah. Do you?
Well, yes, I was on an aircraft carrier in the South China Sea. And it wasn't just Dr. Martin Luther King. It was Bobby Kennedy, too.
Yeah.
And
And I
elaborate.
thought, maybe I don't want to go back.
Why is that?
Because all of the people are getting killed.
Yeah.
And the streets were erupting, and it was really strange, you know, to be out there in the world fighting for America when America was kind of falling apart, as it was in those days. It was pretty spooky
In
stuff.
those days?
Yeah.
And we lost Malcolm very near that time as well.
Yes.
And I guess a lot of us also, a lot of us are old enough, also remember that it was during a political stop, and I believe somewhere in Indiana, maybe Indianapolis, the Robert Kennedy, the crowd had not heard yet and came out and had to make the announcement. They wanted him to cancel, but he came out and made a marvelously eloquent, very short speech about that. You know, I've lost a member of my family as well. who was killed by a white man, and it was very, very interesting. And it was it was kind of a gutsy move because it was a very tentative time as well as it should have been. But what a remarkable, scary year it was.
I'm too young to remember anything about it, but I know it was scary. I know my uncle was an investigative reporter, and he infiltrated the KKK and did an expose.
Really?
Yeah. And so after it was printed and they found out, they burned crosses on his lawn and that sort of thing because it was just a frightening time.
Well,
how old were you then, Bill?
Was it 66 when he was killed?
68.
68.
I was 6 years old.
Oh, my.
And Olson was a 9-year-old on an aircraft carrier.
And I was just a little teeny one.
Yeah?
Yes, as I remember it.
We won't elaborate then.
We won't elaborate. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take my second break.
Okay.
And then we'll be right back in just a moment on Bettina's Buzz.
What's your family eating for dinner? Chef Ben here at the Back 9 Grill and Bar, where you can pick up family dinner that feeds 4 to 6 hungry people. Family meals include a full rack of ribs, a whole smoked chicken, pound of pulled pork, and plenty of barbecue sauce. Served with a full quart of baked beans, coleslaw, macaroni and cheese, dinner rolls, pickles, a side of onions, and for dessert, brownies with a pint of Mary Ann's vanilla ice cream. Call and order your family's dinner about 15 minutes before you want to eat. See you at the 9.
Do never get a second chance to make a good first impression. When you want to make a good first impression, start with Dynamic Press Angelo.
Dynamic Press can take care of every printing need, from business cards to stationery, apparel, mailings, brochures, everything but money.
When you want to make a good first impression, start with Dynamic Press in Santa Cruz.
479-7920. DynamicPress.com.
When your business is on the move, you must find the right place for it to move. Let's ask Matt Shelton, General Manager of J.R. Parish, the big question. What is the right place to move one's business?
Location, location, location. Sometimes it's rent. Sometimes it's the fact that there aren't that many buildings available to suit you, but mostly it's location of your customers, location of the principals, location of your employees.
Move it to the right place with the help of the power brokers at J.R. Parish in Santa Cruz.
If the Howard Stern Show and Terry Gross's Fresh Air had a baby, well, that's my program, Show and Tell. It airs 2 p.m. Pacific on Saturdays. I'm your host, Tamara Lowe. Listen on SantaCruzVoice.com.
Change is great when you initiate it. Hi, Brian, formerly of Unschooling Stories. Join me Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. for Overschooled Undereducated, right here on SantaCruzVoice.com.
Welcome back to Bettina's Buzz here on SantaCruzVoice.com. And again, with me here in studio are my cohorts and my friends, Bill Wolverton.
Hello.
And Michael Olson. Bill.
Hey, I looked up that time for you.
Okay.
The screening, the Martin Luther King Jr. Day film screening and discussion.
Oh, yes.
Is at the Capitola Branch Library, and that will be Sunday the 14th from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock p.m.
Good. Thank you. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, there's also at the Felton Branch Library preschool story time celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and that is past. Never mind. I hope they had a lovely time.
One thing I wanted to encourage everyone is this is a good time, and, Monday's a holiday, of course, observance, but libraries, go to either your local library, wherever you may live, or to the Santa Cruz Library, or we encourage you to go to Capitola Branch Library and look up some of the literature, writings of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and of Willie Brown. Willie Brown has a book, Basic Brown. And you should look his book up.
So what was the quote? It doesn't come down on Willie Brown, something like that?
It
never comes down on
it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't come down on Willie Brown. Yeah. See, Michael, have you seen Princess Diaries? You know that.
I have not.
You guys,
and so I'm in the Bill camp, wondering what I missed.
Well, it's Princess Diaries. It's Anne Hathaway, and see, my brain's from Mary Poppins. God, my
Julie
daughter's.
Andrews?
Yes, thank you. Sarah's at home going. But
That
no,
would
it
have been
was
an interesting.
no, that was really good.
combination,
And Willie Brown had a cameo in that. Well, did you see Godfather 3? Because we talked about films.
Probably not.
Yeah,
But-
so he said he was in Godfather 3, right?
Yeah.
But
was
his
in-
favorite movie experience was The Princess Diaries, because now, after the fact, he'll be walking through an airport or something,
Yeah, I
and these
heard
young
that.
girls will
That was-
squeal. Oh, you were listening?
You
Yeah.
know, and that's something I wanted to say, Miss Tina.
Yes,
That was an
Mr.
incredibly fun and entertaining interview
It-
with Willie Brown.
Thank you.
But I was going to call and ask Willie, what happened between that stunningly fun, beautiful San Francisco of Willie Brown to today?
Yeah, that's a good question.
What happened to San Francisco after Willie left? But that would have been a very political comment.
And that's
you
another
were having
show.
So much fun.
That's another
I did
show.
Not step in it.
Yes, but
that was I was walking the dog, and I had a smile on my face all the way around the blocks. So thank you for that show. It was great stuff.
well,
He
thank
did
you.
a lot for the homeless and drug addicted, both of those. He put a lot of programs in place.
Yep.
But, yeah, they do need a lot more.
Yeah, wonderful man. You know, we had another governor who used to do a lot of radio here in Santa Cruz.
Yes.
Another Brown governor to boot, Jerry Brown himself.
Yeah, that's right.
I have a
Another
What are you
Brown.
laughing about, Jacoby?
Michael's laughing. It's like, okay, there's 12 minutes left. Everybody, don't worry.
I will give you a Martin Luther King quote that I particularly like, that faith is taking the first step without having even looked at the staircase.
Nice.
That's a good line.
That is a good
Yeah,
line.
he has a lot of them.
He has a good. That was a good one. There's a lot of amazing quotes of his. And again, I wrote down some, and then I said no.
Well, why?
Well, because
all
we're
of those cards that you have,
See,
you must have
yes.
dozens of them.
I have. You inspired me. One of the first. You said always have notes, so I took it to heart.
It helps.
It does help.
It helps.
It helps. I like having notes. I'm collecting.
All you need, you don't even need to have anything on the note except the dot where you intended to write something, and then it'll inspire you.
Yeah, bullet points.
Bullet points, yeah.
Dots.
Just
bullet
point
points.
dots. I don't think so. Well, if it works for you.
Give it a try,
Yeah.
Bill.
No, I do have notes for each show, but they're in HTML with links to everything I need, so I don't have to scramble for it at the end.
But as you mentioned, Bill, Willie Brown did a lot and probably continues to do a lot for the homeless. On Monday, the Homeless Garden Project at Natural Bridges has a program going on, cleanup and helping the homeless. So that's an event going on in celebration of Martin Luther King Jr. So something else to think about. A lot of things to do
Love
about
that charity too.
for the community in honor of his legacy. It's nice that our community creates community events to bring people together in both celebration and to help the community.
Absolutely.
Best way to do it.
That is the best way to do it. What do you plan to do on Monday, Michael?
What do I'll probably go to work, but don't tell anybody.
Work here?
Here, there, and everywhere.
This isn't work. This is a pleasure.
I'll be working in my regular job on Monday.
And what's your regular job?
We make medical equipment.
Where? Tell me about that.
Downtown SoCal. It's called Brace Socks, and we make a sleeve that goes under knee braces.
Oh,
Brace Socks with an X.
with an X.
Yeah. Yeah, just in case anybody...
So how do they work for people who have weak knees, as I once had before I had new ones put in?
Well, people with weak knees need braces, and we don't make those. But people who have braces don't wear them because they're not comfortable, and then they hurt their knee again.
Right.
And that is what my boss, when she was an aspiring Olympic field hockey player, discovered. She stepped in a gopher hole, wrecked her knee, had to wear a knee brace. And her teammates at San Jose State also had to wear knee braces, and they didn't. They left them on the sideline because they were uncomfortable. So she invented this sleeve when she saw the need. She told me that's what an entrepreneur is. It's not someone who
So
owns
you
a small
find- yeah,
business.
you see
It's
a
a
need.
problem solver.
Right.
Yes.
That's what an
Exactly.
entrepreneur is.
I played field hockey
Yeah,
at Seaside High. I loved it.
it's a good sport.
Yes.
Well, she was going to go to the Olympics.
Really?
But, she wrecked her knee and didn't get to do that, but she built a business out of it. So
Well,
there's
when
an
I
upside.
played field hockey, we were the first field hockey team at Seaside High. and we never won a game, but our claim to fame was that Santa Catalina, who had the best team, they didn't beat us. They only tied us. You'd think that way.
There you go.
And we got the varsity letter, and the JV football players were so jealous.
Really?
But we got, our coach made sure we got the varsity letter.
I was on a Little League team as a wheat hike. And
Last
we
year.
only won one game during the entire year. But through that experience, I come to believe that to be a winner, you have to learn how to lose. You have to learn how to
And also to be a winner, you have to make sure that all the equipment, everything goes right. And I want to take a moment again to thank Michael and Bill for being here with me this morning, because I wanted to be extra confident having such a wonderful guest as former mayor of San Francisco, Willie Brown.
Extra confident.
Well, I was.
Girl.
I knew that, and just to have that extra backup, I truly appreciate it. And so we're going to follow up by reminding you some of the other shows that are on SantaCruzVoice.com that you can listen to all during the... Well, I know, not during the hour, but in the last few minutes, because in the last 2 minutes, I'll tell everybody I have a speech, an excerpt from the last speech from Dr. Martin Luther King to finish out Bettina's Buzz. But in the meantime, Bill, your show, tell us a little bit about Good Morning Monterey Bay.
Okay, Good Morning Monterey Bay is on from 6 to 9 o'clock, Monday through Friday. Rosemary Chalmers is my co-host, and we have 3 hours of keeping people informed and entertained. We'll do traffic and weather breaks. We'll play local news, or I'll read the local news. But then we have a variety of things, guests who talk about their areas of expertise. And we also get a little competitive in the first hour. 6:35, we do trivia. That's one of my favorite parts of the show. After our show, you want to hear what the rest of the schedule is?
Yeah, the weekly schedule.
Okay, the weekly schedule, 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock, is Charles Friedman. He has political talk and plays old-timey music, takes your calls, and he will interrupt what he's doing to let you set the subject.
And you've actually seen Uncle Charlie's record barn.
For the first time, just a couple days ago, I was impressed.
And the number to call here, so call him. He loves calls. It's 265-5050, so call him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't call now.
Don't call now, but call him.
And he does a third hour. The third hour is just music. And as Mr. Olson said, he has an incredible place from which
music
to play
and
the
chat.
Music.
It's like music and history and culture.
Yeah, I would say so. He educates us about the music a lot too, and about the musicians.
And I like having fellow program managers on as guests, because we get to learn more about each other. Mm-hmm. The listeners get to learn more about us.
I was thinking that would be a good policy. When in doubt, invite a fellow host.
Well, I've followed that policy very well.
Yes,
I am a team player. Okay, so Michael, tell us a little bit about your show, please.
Well, good. Yes, I do 2 shows. One is called The Food Chain, radio podcast. I'm on my 1,352nd
Wow.
Congratulations. And each one has as its fundamental subject, what's eating what? Which is to say, what's going on?
Yes.
And I always look for a little conflict and put the conflict on, and that's what's fun. My second show is China Now, and the theme of that is friend or foe. And we live in a very, very frightening world right now with respect to, that's Jacoby out there.
And Brandon, I recognize the voice. Yeah, I've heard China Now scoop the mainstream media by 18 months.
For what? What did we do?
The Chinese police in this country story you did.
Oh, yeah.
I heard you do that way before I ever heard anybody else mention it.
It's really a fun project, because what we do is we try to find news that's coming out of China.
Yeah.
Now, by and large, most all of the news coming out of China has been scrubbed clean by the Chinese Communist Party. So what we try to do is look behind that red curtain and see what's really going on, and see, the big subject right now is that China lost, the CCP lost the election in Taiwan.
Yeah.
That puts the CCP and Xi Jinping in a very precarious position
Did
by
you
which
notice
he might think he
that they
must
started
attack.
talking? And my daughter gave me this mug. Thank you, sir. And it says, I'm so good. You're on mute. So I've been dimming my cohorts down as Bettina's Buzz. Okay, no, you both are great, and thank you.
Okay, so now
We didn't want to get,
reading?
we didn't, because I'm down to my last minute. So again, I want to end Bettina's Buzz by thank you all for listening to SantaCruzVoice.com on Bettina's Buzz this wonderful Saturday. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Keep in your hearts and your minds Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the wonderful things that he did for all of us, and his legacy still continues to do for us. Thank you again, Mr. Willie Brown, for being a guest on SantaCruzVoice.com. You definitely made my day. Hello to my mom, Gloria, to Cerna. Thank you very much for listening. To everybody in Mineola, Texas. To all my family, to my Nana, my Gramps. Thank you, Nana. Love you. Okay, here we go. Have a good weekend. And everybody, please pray for peace. Prayers work. Okay, thank you for listening.
Just be true to what you said on paper. If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right. And so just as I say we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around, we aren't going to let any injunction turn us around. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
You haven't put...
And welcome to Raising the Standards. We'll slide the A train out a little early. Miss Rachel is not here today. I've got a wealth of talent in the studio with me. Bill Wolverton and Michael Olson. And we've hello, guys. How are you? He's waving.
Hello.
To me. Did you see that in the radio?
I didn't shake my head.
Waved to me.
I didn't nod or anything this time.
God.
Or take off my headphones to shake my head at you.
Anyway, I'm still getting the A train in my headphone. We'll detract that thing. Anyway, we've got a good show today. In a few moments, we'll be talking to Dave Lopato, who has a new CD out called Short Stories. A wonderful pianist and really got kind of a world music guy and a fascinating backstory. He's going to give us a buzz in just a few, and we'll talk to him. And then, guys, we're going to talk to Robert Massey, who's the general director of Symphony San Jose. And they're doing an automation program, which is AI, which I find frighteningly interesting.
What are they doing with it?
Well, they're going to have like a battle between a live a cello soloist and an AI hologram. So it'll be very interesting.
Oh,
yeah,
that will be interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. As I said in Facebook, you might want to bring your edibles to that deal. That should be interesting. But how are you, Billy? You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing swell. I enjoyed the interview we had with Willie Brown last hour. That was pretty cool.
Brown. That was neat. And the Olson, sit down. You've got. We were just talking the last hour about where we were when Dr. King was assassinated, and you had a glazed look in your eyes since you were 2.5 weeks old, and Olson was on an aircraft carrier somewhere, and I was, I guess, a junior in high school. Are you older than I am, Michael?
How old do you want me to be?
Yeah.
That's when my daughter was a wee tyke. Somebody came to the front door and rang the doorbell, so she went and opened the door. And they looked down at her and, "Oh, hi, what a sweetie. How old are you?" And she looked at him and said, "How old do you want me to be?"
That's good. Who's asking? So I guess he's not going to answer that question, Bill.
So your usual co-host still amuses me when she talks about being old.
Well,
she does.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious. She'll be with Rosemary and me and talk about how she's old.
Yeah. She well, she gets a lot of extra money to say, "Jacob, you're not old."
Oh, does she?
Yeah,
nice.
I appreciate
you
that.
Double her salary.
I doubled
for that.
her salary.
Okay, all right.
I moved one of the zeros to the left, so that worked real well. We're waiting to hear from Dave Lopato, who's going to be calling any second, and chat with him. And after we chat with him, we'll also play a little bit of his music. The new CD, as I said, is called Short Stories. We're going to play a cut in a few minutes called Prince of Darkness, which I'm looking forward to chatting with him and finding out more. Is we got him here?
Let's.
Yeah, so we'll see. Anyway, what else was I going to tell you folks? And without Rachel here, I'm all discombobulated. But we have, and I'm going to do a little program note while we're waiting for Dave to call. Next week, Dr. Clark will be with us, along with the great Mark Winkler, who's got a new CD out himself. A lot of music this month. The 27th, Haley Loren, who is Grammy nominated, just a wonderful performer. On the 3rd, we'll talk to our buddy John Fitzpatrick from New Orleans with Mardi Gras coming up, or going down, or stumbling. And a woman named Judy Whitmore, who's got a new CD out as well. Very, very nice. On the 10th, our buddy Hisham from Willow Street, the new head chef over there. And on the 17th, Kathleen Powell, Sal Pizarro, and our annual CineQuest show. We got anybody on the line there, Billy?
No, but we're ready for him to call in.
Oh,
right
we
now.
are just waiting.
Yeah,
we are ready.
He calls
Yeah.
Well, if he calls the number you gave him.
Well, while we're waiting, why don't I rant a little bit about why the hell are we paying for an NFL game, for an NFL playoff game, which is on Peacock, and only on Peacock this afternoon.
And who's playing?
Well,
who's not
Kansas
playing?
City. Well, Kansas City, and this is the evening game. Kansas City and Miami. Miami, how are they going to do going to Kansas City where it's minus 8 degrees? But that game is only on Peacock. Now, is that the wave of the future? We're
Yes.
going to have a
It is the wave,
charge
yeah.
for Super Bowl? I mean,
Yes,
that's
unfortunately, everybody wants it to be a subscription.
which is ridiculous.
But that's the. Have you heard that BMW charges you like $10 a month to have heated seats, and if you don't pay this extra subscription, the functionality is there. They just turn it off.
They override it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Good thing you
everything
don't
is
have
a
to pay
subscription.
Good thing you don't have to pay for steering or anything. Oh, I forgot to pay the bill as you're going off the cliff.
Hey, it could happen.
It could happen. Should
Started
have
with
bought a
software,
squirrel.
right?
All right, I believe your caller is ready.
The aforementioned Dave Lopato with us on the line. Hello, David. How are you?
He's almost with us.
David, you there?
There, try it again.
Dave, are you there?
Hello.
Hello, David. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Welcome to Raising the Standards. We're delighted you took time out of your busy day. You know, it's funny. I know you're in New York. You're in New York today, right? Where you live?
Well, yeah, upstate New York, actually.
Okay. Well, it's funny. I was talking the other day to my cigar guy who lives in New Jersey, and I was on my way to play golf, and he says, "How are you?" And I said, "I'm cold. It's 35 degrees," and I realized who I was talking to and where he was. So I won't complain to you, Dave, about how cold it is, because I imagine you're.
Yeah, you can knock another 10 degrees off of that.
Yeah, and you got a little snow.
Yep. And a lot of rain. It's a strange moment here.
Yeah.
Everything's getting saturated.
Well, first of all, I very much enjoyed the new album, Short Stories. Tell me a little bit about how that project came together.
Well, I've been playing with most of those folks for several years. Lucas Pino was a student at the New School where I have taught for 30 years a while back, and he's become an amazing player on his own. And so I played with him for many years, and Ed Neumeister as well. So it's the compositions range from fairly recent to like 30 plus years old. And I just, I'm very eclectic as a composer and performer. And my last CD was a double CD that was very much based on Indonesian gamelan music, which I studied and lived in Java a long time ago for a year.
Now, what is
gamelan? So this one's more straight ahead than most of my other recordings. But I'm really happy with the way it came out.
Well, you mentioned gamelan music, which is an Indonesian form of music, or what? I'm not familiar with it.
Yes.
Okay.
There's Balinese and there's Javanese. They're totally different from one another. I had a grant to go study Javanese gamelan music, and so that's incorporated into some of my compositions. And the bulk of them are more in the jazz and modern jazz, avant-garde kind of realm.
Well, you want to frighten the average person and confuse them. Even the word jazz is still a little testy to a lot of people, but throw in the word eclectic, you'll get their heads spinning.
Yeah.
But I think this is, I wouldn't call this CD eclectic. I think it's not that eclectic is a bad sound, but this is pretty much a mainstream sound to me, and a great approach. You not only are a pianist, you do a lot of work with percussions as well, correct?
Yeah, some percussion, and I also play string bass, although I don't gig on that instrument. But yeah, piano and keyboards are my main thing. I would say about this recording is that it is probably more mainstream than most of my other ones. I mean, there haven't been that many under my name as a leader, like 6 discs. But this one, yeah, I would say this one is maybe less eclectic than some of the others are more in the straight ahead realm. Although that one long piece, I think, goes in a very different direction.
Well, we're
called Through the Veil.
After we chat for a few more moments, we're going to play Prince of Darkness. I hesitate to ask where that inspiration came from, but tell me a little bit about that tune.
Well, I have recorded exclusively my own compositions, except for two occasions.
That's a Wayne Shorter tune, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And so that's one of the two pieces that I've recorded that weren't written by myself. And I've always admired Wayne's, not just his playing, but his writing. I think he's one of the three great composers at the top of the jazz pantheon. And it was just fortuitous, the timing that he passed away just after this was recorded. But I think he's influenced so many modern jazz composers.
Well, David, don't leave us hanging with the other two at the Pantheon. Who are the other two composers in your mind?
Well, I would say Duke and Monk.
Okay.
Just in terms of from my perspective. Now
let me ask you, since you primarily, as you say, do mostly your own compositions, is it is it more daunting to do someone else's, or you approach it differently? I like playing other people's compositions, and I also love playing, the American Songbook, the standard repertoire. But I feel like maybe I can make more of a unique contribution, putting my own music out there. It has, it's personal, and it has particular quirks that are maybe unique to my own compositional style. Whereas, and I'm sure there are, there are the great masters of jazz playing standards. Will play a lot better than I will. I like doing that stuff, and I feel comfortable doing it. But I think I maybe would be contributing more to the music world by recording and getting my own stuff out there. Did you tell me you were coming out soon?
Yeah, I'm coming out there next week. I have two concerts in San Francisco. One of them is on Saturday the 20th, 4 p.m. It's actually a house concert that I've played a couple of times in the Mission District.
Right.
An amazing place, and but it is also a private house concert. So if anybody would like to go to that, they can just email me.
Okay.
And I set that up. And my email is david@davidlopedo.com.
And what's the other?
The other one is as Shay Haney, Frank Haney's place.
Mm-hmm.
He has a really nice concert series, also at 4 in the afternoon, and that's on Sunday. And if you go to Shay, that's as in CHEZHANNY, ShayHaney.com, you can get the information there. I also have I can give you a phone number if you want.
Go ahead and shoot it out.
Let's see. Let me just get that. Yeah, the phone number is 415-552-2729.
Terrific.
And
now, David,
I just wanted to mention, though, that also if anybody emails me, Lopedo is a hard name to spell. It's like potato, Lopato. And so my email is david@davidlopedo.com.
And that's davidlopedo.com will also give you even more background, and you'll be able to find out if you wanted to order some music and hear some of his other sounds. I appreciate you taking time and giving us a buzz, my friend.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You are more than welcome, and let's sneak out with the Prince of Darkness, a phrase I rarely use in public, and a bit of David Lopato. Take care, buddy.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Hello, Robert. Oh, there. Robert, are you there?
I am here, yes.
Okay, all right. I apologize. That was a long time coming, but we got you, and I'm delighted. How you been, my friend?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Well, you have got, and trust me, folks, I know that we've had a little technical problem, but now that we've got Robert, this is going to be well worth the wait, because you've got a program coming up called Automation, which I find fascinating. It's about AI. Now, AI to me, because I'm a writer and a copywriter, is the narratives that are put together, obviously through artificial intelligence, guessing what folks might want to hear. How does AI apply to music?
Yeah, so this work that's featured on our upcoming concert Automation, it is composed by Adam Schoenberg. And how he has used AI is that he has inputted all of the works that he has composed and basically gotten the AI to learn from him and then generate part of a work composed through AI as if it were composed by the composer. And how he sets this up is in this work, Automation, which is a cello concerto. During the cello concerto, at one point, a hologram it forms, and the hologram performs this AI section, basically having a cello battle with the soloist. Oh. And so that is how it's being used on this program.
So the AI is really only echoing his music.
It is in this case, yes.
Okay, but there are cases that it's original, if you will, for whatever. Certainly, the order is original by AI of what you feed into it. But how does that look for the future of what you do for a living?
Well, I know from this example that we still have a way to go. All of us feel pretty safe. After after months of the AI kind of studying and learning and format of the composition techniques, and talking to the computer programmers that worked on this, some of the early iterations came out where maybe on paper it looked really fine, but the music was unplayable by the instrument. Either it needed more fingers than the human body has, or it plays notes that the instrument can't do, and so it took a little bit of time, kind of honing in and figuring this out. I know we see from the pop side, somebody can say, develop a song that sounds like this pop artist and have it come out, and I think all of us over the next couple of years are going to be really kind of keeping an eye on this. I think classical music, symphonic music, we've been around for a couple hundred years. And, while there's some great innovations in compositions and what's happening, the sound you get from 80 musicians on stage is still irreplaceable. And you go to the movies, you still hear a symphony orchestra, much like you would have heard in 1880, and so it's an amazing parallel path on this incredible art form that's been around for a long time, and living in an area of the country that is on the cutting edge of technology in the future, and what is the juxtaposition of these. And automation is kind of a little glimpse into what that could look like.
I'm with Michael Olson here in the studio. Michael, have you got a question?
In its elemental form, isn't AI a bit like training the dog to bark when you want him to? I mean, it's just you have to train the dog to bark. And AI does the same thing, only it takes what you have given it and interprets it. But you have to give it something for it to interpret. Even that might be the Library of Congress, but it has to interpret it. Isn't that correct?
I don't think he heard the question. Is your microphone up?
Sure is.
Oh, there you go.
Push the button.
Why don't you ask that question again?
All right, I'm learning how to press buttons here, Robert. My apologies. My comment isn't the essence of artificial intelligence similar to teaching the dog to bark? You have to give it the information, and you have to train it to respond to your information.
Yeah. I mean, from my understanding, that was very much it. On its own, the output it would have nothing to output, and so for automation, the path that they chose to do is the composer Adam Schoenberg said, okay, I'm going to feed it all of. He put in 3 really large symphonic works that he had done, and getting the AI to really say, okay, this is what the composer's sound and style is. And then because this is a cello concerto and the hologram plays a hologram cello, he also put in a cello suite that the composer had written. So now he's got the basis of the techniques of what it should sound like if it were written for cello. And so that was basically the information that he had. And so, it's going to come out, not sounding like Taylor Swift or, the Beatles, but very much, an AI version on, if it only heard, the music of Adam Schoenberg, what could it sound like? And so, yes, it only has that to go on. If it's not been taught something, it won't know it. So.
Well, we think of harkened back to Hal in Space Odyssey with a baton is what it seems a bit like. This is automation. The date of the show is when, Robert?
So automation is 27th and 28th.
Okay,
and if you mentioned how the entire program. So automation is the title work, but we've selected classical music pieces that kind of run with this little technological theme. And the closing piece on the program is Richard Strauss's tone poem Also sprach Zarathustra, which is the main theme from 2001: A Space Odyssey.
You knew that was coming.
And subsequently, this past summer's big hit, Barbie. For those who may not have seen 2001, if you saw Barbie, you know this work. And so, yeah, you think of the original AI gone wrong horror film. That's it. So,
now,
and
I was just going to ask Robert: Is this the beginning of your season, the middle, or where are we going from here?
We are in the middle of our season, so we start up usually in the fall and we end in June.
Okay.
But we've come off several weeks of holiday programs, and we've all come back refreshed in the new year. And this is the first kind of classics concerts that we have of 2024. And so it's just something that we're really looking forward to launching the year with.
Well, since we kept you on hold so long, why don't you take a minute and give me an idea of a couple of the other shows that are coming up in the program?
Yeah, well, so after automation, and in addition to the automation and the Richard Strauss, the 2001 piece, there's also the Sorcerer's Apprentice on it, which those who saw the movie Fantasia may remember the scene of Mickey and the broomsticks. And so it's going to be a great concert. And then following that, one of the things that we're also really excited about is March 9th and 10th in San Jose at the Center for Performing Arts. We're going to be presenting the film E.T., the Extraterrestrial. And so it'll be the movie on the big screen with the symphony playing the live orchestral soundtrack, on stage. And so, if you've never seen E.T., this is the way to do it. And it's got that incredible John Williams score. We come back with, classics programs in March with Danny Elfman's Violin Concerto paired with Shostakovich Symphony No. 1. Later in the season, we have an all Puccini program in kind of remembrance of the 250th the anniversary of the composer's death. And we end the year with Mahler's Titan Symphony, and we'll have John Nakamatsu join us on that program with the Mozart Piano Concerto.
Boy, you guys sound like you're having way too much fun.
Well, it's certainly a rich season ahead, that is for sure.
Wow. Do you think we could get the orchestra in our studio here?
Yeah, we probably.
We can certainly try. And it's Saturday, and my math is rusty. It's Puccini's 100th anniversary of his death.
Is it? Okay, you had him dead 150 years before he was born. That was good.
yeah. So,
well, we'd love to get you guys in the studio, but I doubt we could mic it correctly. The way things are going. Robert Massey, General Director of Symphony San Jose. Folks want to buy tickets, they go online?
SymphonySanJose.org. It's really simple right there.
Right.
And really fun.
Always good to talk to you guys. Keep me in the loop and us as things happen, and feel free to give us a buzz.
Will do. Thanks so much for having us.
All right, take care, Robert.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Good guy.
Yeah, there you go. I think
I knew when you were asking that 4-minute question. I said, I don't think
something's not quite right. Yeah.
I said, I could hear you, but I'm not sure he can hear you. Anyway.
Okay.
We're going to do lighter notes. You good on that? You got the Dizzy Gillespie there?
I have. It says Umbrella Man
Well,
with. Now, I was, when I saw that, I wondered, is Dizzy Gillespie doing the Umbrella Man of Santa Cruz? The guy that walks around with the pink umbrella?
No, it's not
It's
that
a different
Nor
one.
is it the Umbrella Man in the Zapruder film, which if you want to date yourself.
Okay.
Or the Umbrella Woman in that film. Anyway, a weekend liner notes. Today we return to the music with the help of a couple of jazz icons, Dizzy Gillespie and Louis Armstrong. It's the final Timex All-Star Jazz Show, which aired on January 7th, 1959. In addition to Diz and Satchmo, the program featured Duke Ellington and George Shearing, among others. Umbrella Man is arguably the highlight of that last show. Seeing these two legends together is like watching Ruth and Garrick, both swinging for the fences and, yes, knocking it out of the park. I find television in the 50s fascinating. From our nod last week to the early broadcast journalism to Milton Berle and Ed Sullivan, it was a time for experiments and, quite literally, thinking outside of the box. It's nice to remember television when live and risk was the coin of the realm. It's nice to remember and enjoy.
The umbrella. Bring your parasol, it may be small, it may be big. You pass them all with what you call the thing. The batter, it looks like Still mend your umbrellas and then go on with it. Sing it, little llama to the lake, little llama to the lake. And the umbrellas will stick today. light. The brain of brown star, it made me fall. You're very solid, juicy boy. Oh, turn that way, yeah, the battle. It looks like rain. Let it be the battle. We don't mind the rain. Twist, real tight. And then go on. Let's take it to see. Oh, yeah. Oh, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Umbrella Man, Dizzy Gillespie and Louis Armstrong. It's funny, Bill was just asking me where his nickname Satchmo came from. And I'm not sure. May have involved the satchel he carried, the trumpet in. Satchmo, but I'm sure I'm wrong, and Bill's out there Googling it so he can bet me.
Where did Satchmo? Maybe we ought to take a contest out of it.
Yeah, we make a contest out of it, dude.
Yeah, this is radio.
That was a short-lived series that Timex did, the jazz series.
You mentioned Ed Sullivan. Well, I remember the Beatles.
You remember the
on
Beatles?
Ed Sullivan, yeah.
I remember, who was the guy that did Valari? Dominic DeMeach? It was the first foreign number one hit.
Oh, Dominique?
Domenico. Anyway, the guy that did Valari. I remember seeing him on Ed Sullivan. That would have been probably about 56 or 57 when I was
we'll challenge the world with our age.
Very young man. So what have you been up to?
This and that and this and that. Very, very busy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The stations we're not the best example.
Yes,
today.
well, it's me learning how to do YouTube.
Santa Cruz Voice sounds good, and we've got a lot of new things going over here.
We do, and it's a very exciting time for Santa Cruz Voice. We're alive.
Yeah, we're alive.
We're alive.
And we're moving, and we're certainly an option.
We're talking about having our first birthday party, even. That's how alive we are.
When did we
March, April, and May, somewhere in there.
Certainly we are an alternative to the beige landscape.
Well, I don't think there's anything like Santa Cruz Voice anywhere in America.
I don't know. Yeah.
34 broadcasters.
Yeah, that's true.
There's nobody like that.
True.
There's nothing like that.
I think the idea of rotating them once a week is a good move.
That's why we're all trying to figure out how to use the equipment. How does this work?
We have a deep bench is what we've got.
Yeah. So, good thing Bill's here because he uses this particular piece of equipment every day. So
I think that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Certainly a shout out to our dear friend Rosemary, who lost her dog. And if you're a dog owner, you can relate to that because it's like it's asking for heartache when you get yourself a puppy because the odds are pretty good.
Yep.
He's going to check out before you do. And,
depends on how old you are.
Yeah, it's true, but it's tough.
As I told my daughter when she lost her first dog, hon. Life is a succession of good dogs.
That's exactly right. And fair to Midland owners.
But it was kind of it worked. She said, "Oh, okay, that means I get another dog."
And whoever came up with the phrase "Rainbow Bridge" was a genius because that's such a cute phrase that they cross over the Rainbow Bridge.
Yeah. I don't know who did that.
I don't know who did,
I like it
certainly
too.
better than me just digging a hole and throwing them in it.
All right.
How are we doing time-wise? We got about 11 minutes. We got a little John Coltrane there?
Want me to click on the John Coltrane and see what happens?
Let's see. Got a little round midnight. You're listening to Raising
Do
Standard.
not take apple cider.
No, that is not it.
Finest hour anywhere. There it is. Unmistakable.
Well, you should coach us. And coach us on John Coltrane. You're up.
I don't want to.
Oh, you don't want to be, but I want you to be.
Oh,
coach us on
music now?
coach us on listening to John Coltrane.
Yeah. Well, this is
Oh, you're the pro. You're
John
like
Coltrane is as good as it gets, and if you love great jazz and great vocals, Coltrane did a series of albums with the great Johnny Hartman as well. But you don't need to listen to me; you enjoy the music.
Yes, I do. His saxophone is real deep and rich. Is it a tenor
it's a
sax?
tenor, yeah.
Oh. Okay. So I won't talk to you.
All right, and we're back. I'm not sure we left, to be honest with you today, folks.
We did.
All right, we're good.
For a little while.
That was the wonderful John Coltrane and part of Round Midnight.
With a tenor saxophone that's really deep and rich.
Deep and rich. That's right. And Mr. Wolverton,
Yes.
you have an answer.
Yes,
to
a
our
satchel
query.
is a large bag.
That's what I said.
He had a large mouth.
Oh.
His nickname was Satchel Mouth.
Satchel Mouth.
And that was shortened to Satchmo.
Now, if you're going to talk about those two people, Dizzy Gillespie and Louis Armstrong, you wouldn't think of describing Armstrong as the one with the large mouth.
Oh, between those two?
Dizzy was
Heck
so
no.
famous for blowing his cheeks out.
Oh, yeah.
But so that's where it came from.
He was
Satchel
a hot
Mouth.
air balloon mouth, but that doesn't sound as good.
I think they invented frogs after Dizzy Gillespie.
You think that was...
That's what they blow up their mouth.
Was it just stretching from use, or was that a medical condition?
Does Alex Jones know you stole his ad-libs? Well, Rachel, she'll be back.
She'll be back.
So were you just saying we're coming up on a year here? That's great.
Yes. I just got an email from one of our people who suggests we have a 1-year birthday party here in April, May.
Okay.
Looking for a date, and I'm thinking, holy smokes, it's been a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think Good Morning Monterey Bay got started a little earlier than the other shows.
Yeah.
I think February 6th.
Yeah, you guys, I was going to say, it wasn't as late as April.
No.
That's when we had a grand opening. Yeah, right. So when we admitted to being a radio station.
That was a good party.
That was a good. We've had great parties.
Yeah, we don't have any trouble having parties, folks. that doesn't seem to be our issue today.
No. Getting you to them once in a while.
I know that, but. I am often faced with the quandary of how you describe. Do we describe ourselves as a radio station?
I was wondering about that.
Internet radio is what I describe as.
Oh, okay. Because, or it's podcast. But podcast is
streaming radio instead of broadcast radio.
Well, I don't like podcasts because there are 5
No, and that doesn't describe us either.
No,
podcasts
not
are
at all.
Live,
no.
Typically.
Podcast is simply a recording.
Yeah, but we're going to add that as well.
When radio is online, it's still radio, right?
Sure, but we just don't have the terrestrial broadcast.
Well, I wonder what the FCC says. Yeah. They probably don't say anything.
I'm sure if you ask, they'll give you a buzz.
No, they don't say anything.
They
don't say anything because they have no purview.
Internet.
They have nothing to do with us.
No.
Right.
For instance, we could say...
we could say...
And it happened yesterday.
Oh, did it really?
Mm-hmm.
Someone dropped the bomb?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I saw that note.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, Bill caught somebody saying a bad word.
I'm the school mom around here, apparently.
Well,
which is good. Which is good. And so that's something that we can say a lot of things, but we can't
choose
say.
not to.
Yeah, we choose not to.
We can.
Yeah.
We could say,
And
but we choose not
yeah,
to.
there you go. And it's a good thing we don't.
Speaking of dogs, do you know this? So you'll like this story about
Good. I love dogs.
The two horses are in the pallet, and one of them they just finished a race. So one of them said, "Hey, you just won the race, didn't you?" He goes, "Yeah, I did." He says, "But something very strange happened. Just before I took off, I felt a pain in my rear end. There was kind of like a prickly thing."
Yeah.
He says, "Really?" The other says, "That's funny because I won a race a couple of weeks ago, and just before the race, I felt like a pain and something sticking in me, and it's crazy." And there's a dog sitting there, and the dog says, "You two are idiots. Can't you see what's going on? They're juicing you. They are juicing you so you'll run faster and win races. That's what's happening." And one horse looks at the other and says, talking dog. That's my dog.
I didn't know where that was going.
You know what he knew. You know what's funny?
And it got there anyway.
In the middle, I didn't. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Let's bring the A train in.
Well, we have 324. Are you going to tell us about the A train? Why you play the A train all the time?
The A train, of course, not written by Duke Ellington,
okay,
but written by his brother and Billy Strayhorn, and of course, Ellington's signature tune. And it was written about he was giving instructions to either, it wasn't Mercer, maybe it might have been Billy Strayhorn who was coming into town, and because Ellington was going to hire him, and he said, "Well, how do I get there?" And he says, "Take the A train, and that's pretty much going to be the fastest way to Harlem." And then that's how the tune was written.
That's cool.
And that's how he got up there.
And you're from New York City.
No, I'm from Chicago. But,
okay.
That was one of those times. And he brought a satchel with him.
No, he's making it up now.
Yeah. All right.
The A train's on its way in. We are on our way out. And not a minute too soon. As always, this show has been for Mark, for Georgianne, and for you. Until next Saturday, when once again raise the standards. I'm Jacoby. I'll see you soon.
So it's